My brothers and sisters, I'd like to draw your attention to today's first reading that is taken from the Acts of the Apostles. This reading is ordinarily approached as the story of Paul's conversion. That's a lot of reflections just focus on Paul's conversion. Coming from Saul to becoming Paul. However, I would like us to approach it differently as the Ananias' story, a story of extraordinary risk and courage on the side of Ananias. We heard that Saul, a radically prejudiced and dangerous enemy to believers in Christ, who breathed murderous threats, was on this road to Damascus on a mission to arrest and murder Christians. Jesus knocked Saul off his high horse, of course, as we read. And the Lord then asked Ananias to go and pray for Saul so that he could be able to regain his sight, not only just the physical sight, but also the interior sight of his heart. Ananias knew how risky this would be to him and also to the other believers in the city. And his reply, as we heard, to Jesus was, Lord, I've heard from so many sources, not just one source or two or three, but from so many sources about this man that you're sending me to. What evil things he has done to your holy ones in Jerusalem. And I'm also aware that even in our own city here, he has authority to imprison all who call upon your name. You know, when I was reading these words, I was wondering, in US American parlance, Ananias was basically telling Jesus, seriously? Are you asking me to go to this man who wants to arrest and imprison me? Or even murder me? That's how I would imagine an American responding to Jesus with this kind of invitation. But the Lord insisted that Ananias had to go visit Saul because the Lord wanted to turn Saul into an instrument to carry his name to the Gentiles. Ananias agreed to go even when he did not understand everything, but because it was the Lord who had commanded him to do so. There are two lessons we can reflect on this in light of Ananias' experience. The very first one is that sometimes the Lord can ask us to follow him into an unknown, unpredictable, illogical, and even scary circumstances. That is what the Lord asked of Ananias. To some of us who are gathered here today, it may come as an invitation, for example, to be charitable towards an ex-spouse who didn't treat you so well. It may come as an invitation to be charitable, maybe to a parent who abused you emotionally or physically. It may come as an invitation to be charitable to a manager or a co-worker who just simply made your life miserable. It may come as an invitation to be charitable, maybe to a family member who was mean to you, or to be kind to a person who discriminated against you in a group or an association or a club that you belonged to. Ananias went and followed this invitation of Jesus, despite his fears and even how illogical everything looked to him. He did not hold on to his perspectives or his logic. Rather, he trusted Jesus more than he trusted himself. The second small lesson that we can learn from this is that there is no one who is beyond God's love. There is no one who is beyond the grace of God, no matter what they have done in life, no matter how far or how bad they had fallen from the presence of God. God's love reaches and is available to everyone. For a man who had blood on his hands like Saul, his story cautions us never to label anyone as beyond God's redemption. All over, there is, God can reach out to anyone, no matter what they have done and how far they had gone. So today, we can ask ourselves, is there maybe something that God has been asking you to do that you've been resisting? Looking at the story of Ananias, what is it that God keeps reminding you, inviting you to do for him? Yet you've been either resisting all along or giving a lot of other excuses. Our act of responding in faith like Ananias might be the first step in fulfilling an important plan of God, as we see in St. Paul's life. When Ananias said yes and was able to go and pray for this man, look at the fruits of St. Paul. As we continue today, like Ananias, may we ask God for the grace and the courage we need so that we can be able to say yes to him, especially when he comes knocking on our hearts with invitations that might be difficult for us to understand.